worst thing a family member has ever done to you? I'm not gonna lie, empathetic, like genuinely spineless. Because what kind of person hands over their entire future to someone who stole their bedroom and then thanks them for it? I saved $42,000 since I was 14 years old with a job that almost killed me. Every grease burn, creepy customer, Friday night I missed with friends, I knew it was my ticket out. I had pre-med dreams sitting in a savings account getting fatter while I got smaller from skipping lunches. The problem was that my parents still took half of my paycheck every time to fund their own lives. It was the only time I made them proud. They hated me since the moment I was born because my birth almost killed my mom. But here's the thing about being the family doormat. You start to believe you deserve the floor after a while. Like when Marilyn, my cousin, moved in after her parents died and my parents gave her my room while I slept in the basement. She was 16 and gorgeous, even while grieving, and I was 10 and awkward and already knew my place in the family hierarchy, which was somewhere below the dog because at least he got to sleep upstairs. 8 years I lived like that. 8 years of watching my parents buy Marilyn a car for her birthday while I got a card, of seeing her model the prom dress they bought at a boutique while I wore Goodwill every day. My parents had been showing me for 8 years that I was worth less than her, but I had my savings and I told myself that was enough. I even had my boyfriend Dylan, who always made me feel special. I think he was the first person to ever make me feel that way. The cancer announcement came at my graduation dinner, because of course it did. She stood up clutching her stomach saying the doctors found lymphoma. I felt my celebration cake turn to ash in my mouth. Dylan jumped up so fast he knocked over his chair, and when he offered to help with whatever she needed, he looked at her with this expression I'd never seen in the 2 years he dated me. My stomach knew before my brain did that I was about to lose everything. 2 days later, $42,000 gone, transferred out of my account by my parents. They explained that family helps family, and insurance wouldn't cover experimental treatment. And how could I be so selfish when Marilyn was dying? I wanted to scream that they'd never helped me, that I'd worked since 14 while Marilyn got allowance for existing, but I just sat there like always the good daughter, the understanding one, the basement dweller who knew her place. Night classes at community college tasted like failure, and I told myself it was temporary, just until Marilyn got better. But then my parents decided I needed to quit my restaurant job to be her caregiver because 18 meant I was an adult and adults contribute, as if I hadn't been contributing half my paycheck since I was 14. They told me if I really wanted to be a doctor, I had to be more caring. Then everything got worse. You know what's funny about shaving your head in solidarity? It's supposed to be this beautiful gesture, but when my parents made me do it, Marilyn laughed. Actually laughed and said now we're twins. She hadn't even shaved her hair yet. Then Dylan agreed with her and said I looked sick. I felt like something was up when I realized how Marilyn hadn't really changed at all. She didn't look sick. So one day I followed her to chemo and saw her car at Serenity Spa getting a hot stone massage while she was supposed to be getting poison pumped through her veins. That's when the basement doormat finally felt something other than resignation. I followed her for the next few days to see what else she was lying about. The next day I found her making out with Dylan in his Honda, the windows all fogged up, her definitely not bald head in his hands. I think that's when pathetic turned to anger. I called up the insurance company during dinner and put it on speakerphone. The guy confirmed that Marilyn had no claims, no diagnosis, no anything. I also knew Marilyn's bank password, so I pulled up the bank statements showing spa days every chemo day, and my family looked so shocked, like they hadn't been watching her eat full meals when she should have been fasting for treatment. What I didn't expect was my parents screaming at me to get out, saying I was no longer their daughter while Marilyn sobbed and Dylan held her. And I realized I'd never been their daughter, not really, just the worker aunt funding the princess's life. I got kicked out and spent 3 months in my car, 3 months of showering at the gym and pretending everything's fine. A month in, Dylan called to apologize and say he didn't mean for it to turn out the way it did. Then he warned me, told me to leave and move across the country. I ignored him and hung up. On the 3rd month, I got a call that changed everything. It was an insurance investigator asking me to go to the police station to give my statement. Apparently my parents' house had burned down, and while they claimed it was an accident, he discovered foul play. The first person my parents mentioned it could be? Why me, of course. I thought of Dylan's warning and realized I knew exactly who would have set the fire. I've got Marilyn's medical records in my glove compartment and 3 years of text messages from Dylan saved to the cloud, and I thought maybe, just maybe, the doormat's about to show them what 8 years in the basement teaches you about survival. Full story on channel, linked below.